I'm Beck and food's my life. Are you looking for an easy cheesecake recipe that you know is going to be a winner every time you make it? Well, I have the perfect recipe coming right up. Okay, so today I'm going to make my all-time favourite mango and macadamia nut cheesecake. This is a really good recipe to have in your collection, especially if you've been invited over for dinner somewhere and you've been told that you're on dessert duty. This is a great one to make because people love it and they're going to be super impressed. So we're going to start with the biscuit base. I have 4 ingredients that go into the biscuit base. I have 100 grams of butter that I have just melted on the stove. I have half a cup of coconut desiccated, half a cup of macadamia nuts, and 250 grams of butternut cookies. I like to use the butternuts because they're really coconutty and quite buttery, which add a lovely flavour. But you can use any biscuits you want really. Ginger nuts would work pretty well in this recipe too, but I like to use the butternuts. I'm going to be using my food processor to break all this down, crush it up to make the biscuit base. So let's go. In with all the ingredients. And the coconut. All right, now we just have to pulse that a little bit to bring it down to a fine crumb. That should be enough. Let's have a look. Yep, lovely. It's a nice fine crumb. And if it's not, just keep on going until, especially those nuts, sometimes need a bit of time to break down, but that's looking really lovely and very, very fine. So to this, we're going to add the 100 grams of melted butter. So I'm just going to pour that in. And we're going to give it another little whiz on the old food processor. And we need to do that until it all comes together like soft sand, soft wet sand. Okay, so let's go. Okay, that looks like it's about done. So what we need to do now is take the blade out. Have a look at that texture. Okay, if it's looking like wet sand and it's coming together and you can sort of feel it stick together slightly, then that's perfect. So now what we're going to do is pop that into our pre-prepared lined cheesecake tin. Here it is. So I've lined this tin earlier. I might actually do a video on how to line tins because lots of my friends say, how do you line your tins, Beck? And there's lots of different ways for different styles of cakes. So keep an eye out because I might do a video on that soon. All right, so what we're gonna do is we don't wanna tip it all in. We just wanna tip in about a third at this stage. Okay, using your hands because that's the only way, it's the easiest way. You need to press that down to make a nice firm biscuit base. So once you have pressed that into the bottom, like so, now comes the tricky bit. It's the only tricky bit with this recipe. It's putting the biscuit crumb up against the sides of your cheesecake tin. Now you don't have to. If you don't want to or you're not confident, you can just have a nice thick layer of biscuit base on the bottom and the cheesecake filling on top, but it does look spectacular when you've got the biscuit crumb all the way around, and it just means that you get more crumb. So I like to just go that extra step and go that far. So to do this, it's not hard, it's just getting used to it. Practice makes perfect. So what I like to do is I take a little handful at a time and I press it up against the side. It really is like working with sand. It's like building a sandcastle. and I just take a little handful at a time and I keep working my way around the sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue this, and I'll show you when I'm done. So I think I'm done now, but I've got a bit of a trick to teach you. If you've got any biscuit crumbs left over like I do, don't waste them. Use every last bit. Add them to the base, make the base a little bit thicker. Trust me, the base is so yummy, it doesn't matter if it's too thick, it's gonna be a good thing. Or just use them and look at the sides of your cheesecake tin. If there's anywhere that it's a little bit too thin, you might just wanna reinforce those sides a little bit so that it won't collapse, especially when you're trying to take it out of the cheesecake tin. Okay, so that's what my cheesecake is looking like now. As you can see, if the sides are not perfectly straight, don't stress. In fact, I quite like that kind of rugged, rustic look. So that's not a bad thing at all. So when you're happy with that, then all you have to do is refrigerate for about half an hour, or really just while you're making the next step, which is the cheesecake filling. Okay, so I've just popped the base into the fridge to set while we're making the next part of this recipe, which is the filling. So I've got my mixer out, I've got the beater attachment on, and I'm ready to go. The first thing we're going to do in the bowl is put 500 grams of cream cheese and 2/3 of a cup of caster sugar. Now we're going to beat this as long as it takes until it becomes a nice smooth consistency. Basically, we don't want to feel any of those little sugar granules in there. It's going to be lovely and smooth. So, let's go. Okay, so I gradually increase the speed to high, and I've been beating this for about 3 minutes so far, and it's looking good. I just want to stop to scrape the sides down. It's really important that you keep doing that just to make sure that everything is really well incorporated. Okay, now at this stage we're going to add 2 more ingredients. We're going to add 250 grams of sour cream and some vanilla, because vanilla makes everything taste better. So, in we go with those 2 ingredients. Teaspoon of vanilla, and I use vanilla extract. And now our sour cream. Now if you're health conscious, you can use a light sour cream, but I never use light. This is going to give your cheesecake a lovely tang. Alright, once again we're going to just beat this until everything is really well mixed. Okay, so that's been going for about another 3 minutes, and it's now a lovely, smooth, glossy texture, which is looking just perfect. What I've done though is I've stopped for a minute because I'm going to add some gelatine to the mix now. I'm using gelatine powder, 2 teaspoons, and to that I'm going to add some boiling water. So once you've done this, you need to very vigorously whisk it up with a fork to help that gelatine dissolve. And ideally, if you've got time, you could be doing this while your cheesecake mixture is beating, and you can let this cool slightly before you add it. The gelatine is what gives your cheesecake a lovely texture, a nice firm texture when you spoon into it. So my gelatine has started to cool off a little bit, and it's just perfect now. It's all dissolved. I'm going to gradually add this to the mix while the beaters are on. And we're going to beat this together until it's just well mixed, nicely incorporated. Okay, we are so close to finishing. All we have to do now is add the very special ingredient, the mango. So let's talk about what mango to use. I like to use a mango with a really nice firm flesh, because these little chunks of mango are going to be all throughout your cheesecake, And if it's too soft, it could start to get really like too juicy and it could start to kind of weep out of your cheesecake. So I like to use the R2E2 mango, which I find the flesh is really nice and firm. What I've done is I've chopped up one whole mango and I'm just going to add that to our mixture. Once you do, you need to carefully fold it through. And that's it, you're done. This mixture is ready to pour into that lovely biscuit base, and all you need to do is refrigerate overnight. Now, I could stop here, but there is one more thing I like to do. Even though it's not really part of the recipe, I like to add some macadamia nuts into the mix. So I've got not even half a cup of roughly chopped macadamia nuts here, and I like to put them into the mix because it gives a nice little random crunch when you're eating into it, and I like that. If you don't like a little crunch in it, that's fine, just keep it with the mango and it'll be lovely and smooth. This part is totally up to you. Okay, so now it's time to finish this off. We've folded in our add-on ingredients, our mango and our macadamia nut. Pour the mixture into your cake tin. Don't waste any. Oh, lovely. Okay. So just very carefully smooth the top. And like I said earlier, this cheesecake needs to be refrigerated overnight. I think it's time to give you one more tip as well. I'll be honest with you, if I'm making a cheesecake for any sort of occasion, I will make it at least 2 days before I want people to eat it. I find that cheesecakes just get better with age, and that's just something I've always done. So I will always make this well ahead of time. And I can't decorate this today because I'm not going to eat it today. So I'm going to come back in a couple of days, I'm going to decorate the top, and I'll show you how I decorate the top with mangoes and macadamia nuts. Hi, it's a new day. It's been 2 days since I made my cheesecake, and I'm having some morning tea with my friends today, so I'm ready to decorate. First things first, we need to take the cake carefully out of the tin. So it's releasing tin and very carefully peeling away the baking paper. Okay. I'm going to lift it from the bottom of the tin, and now I'm going to pop it on my platter. So I need to peel away the paper. Here we go. Now, it's good that the biscuit is so thick because it gives it a nice sturdy base. Just peeling away that paper. And there we have it. A beautiful cheesecake that all my friends are going to love. All right. Now let's talk about topping your cheesecake. I have here one large R2E2 mango. You can use any kind of mango now for the topping, but I'm staying with the R2E2 because it's nice and firm flesh. I've very thinly sliced, I don't know if you can see that, but I've very thinly sliced my mango, and I have some macadamia nuts, of course. And I've also got a bit of passion fruit pulp, which I might use right at the end just to top it off. So when it comes to decorating your cheesecake, if you're not the creative type or if you don't have time, it's fine just to very roughly chop that mango into big chunks and whack it on top. It's going to look great and it's going to taste great, and that's the main thing. But if you've got a little bit more time and you're a little bit creative and you want to try and be a little bit fancy, then I've got some ideas for you. So what I'm going to do with my strips of mango, I'll just show you. I've purposely cut them really thin because that makes them easier to work with. So one of the things I like to do with my mango pieces is I hold it up and I just twist it so it creates a little curl in it and just place it down. So it looks like a little bit of a barrel. And if you just repeat doing this and pop these down all over, there doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason, there doesn't have to be a pattern, just as many that you can fit on top. In the end, it'll have a really lovely appearance, a really nice effect. The other thing you can do is you can grab your strip of mango and you can curl it up around your finger so that it kind of has like a bit of a rose effect, I suppose, and you can stand them up on your cheesecake. I'll do one more and then I'll show you the top of my cake. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the curled up pieces of mango there to have that little sort of a rose effect, and my twisted barrel curls, if you like, in my mango. So I'm just going to keep on doing the same thing, randomly place it all over the top until the top of my cheesecake is completely full of mango. And voila! So how easy was that? I just continued on doing the same thing, and it really wasn't hard. It doesn't matter if you're a little bit messy, because in the end it all comes together and it looks really lovely. And yeah, certainly not very hard to do at all. Okay, so to finish this off, I have just a few more macadamia nuts that I'm going to just drop here, there and everywhere on my cheesecake. And at the end, like I said, I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of passion fruit pulp, just because it gives it a nice little bit of colour as well with those lovely black seeds. And it adds to that tropical theme. And there we have it. Mango and macadamia nut cheesecake that all your friends are going to love. Easy to make, simple to decorate, and definitely has that wow factor. So there you go, mango and macadamia nut cheesecake ready to serve. So now it's your turn. Why don't you try making this spectacular dessert? Please check out the show notes below and you'll find links to my website. All my recipes are free, so grab it, have a go, like the video, share the video, and better still, please subscribe. I'll see you next time.